Guys, just wanted to ask you one thing. Please subscribe to our channel before watching this video in case you are not subscribed yet. Press the subscribe button and bell icon. It's extremely important. We have a large community of 90,000 people and we want to achieve 100k subs before the 25th of December. So we launched an airdrop bot. You can find all information in the description down below. The steps are pretty simple. Click on this link, subscribe, earn the points and enter the giveaways of amazing stuff. iPhone 12 Pro, PS5 and Xbox Series X, cold storages for cryptocurrencies and much more. I will not take your time. Enjoy the video. We'll see you on our channel. Be sure to check the bot and enter the giveaways.
We will start. Roger, hello. Nice to meet you. And say hi to our audience and we will start.
Hello to everyone in Russia and across the world.
Great. Okay, Roger, we have few questions, interesting questions. But in the beginning, let's start. This is not unique question, I understand, for you, but tell a little bit about your background, because I see a lot of interviews and almost everyone ask you a little bit about your background, how you, where you were studying, where you was born, something like that.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Silicon Valley, California, and started a couple of businesses there, and that were pretty successful. And then when I heard Bitcoin come along, I knew this was one of the most important inventions in the entire history of the world. And so I took all the money that I had earned from my other businesses and poured it all into Bitcoin and Bitcoin startups. And so I was the very first person in the entire world to start investing in this ecosystem and funded the seed rounds for all sorts of businesses that we all know and love today, companies like blockchain.com and Kraken and BitPay. And a lot of people don't realize that I actually helped start Ripple as well. I put up all the seed money to start Ripple and dozens of other companies out there as well. So, and this was, years before traditional venture capital started paying attention to the ecosystem. And it was because I was so excited about the wonderful prospects that would be enabled by having peer-to-peer electronic cash for the entire world, because it allows anybody anywhere on the planet to send and receive any amount of money with anyone anywhere on the planet without needing permission from a bank or a government. And that enables more trade. More trade enables more economic growth. More economic growth makes everybody's life better on the entire planet. So it's just a really amazingly powerful tool to push all of humankind forward and make all these cool things that we all want to have in the future. We can bring that future closer to us so it happens sooner rather than later. So I've been involved in the space full time for almost an entire decade now. We're about 2 months away from a decade.
Okay, interesting. And in the previous interview that I was listening in with Pampolina, I guess, the very interesting thing you say about Lambo. Everyone want to buy Lambo when the Bitcoin will go to the moon. And you said very interesting thing that you already have a Lambo before Bitcoin, and you sell the Lambo to buy more cryptocurrency. Is it true?
Yeah, that's absolutely a true story. I had a couple Lamborghinis before Bitcoin had ever even been invented. And then I sold my Bitcoin orange Lamborghini. I sold it
Great.
I think in 2012 to buy more Bitcoin. I'd have to check when the exact sale took place. But yeah, absolutely a true story.
What is the best Lambo, do you think, for you?
I don't know. I had the baby Lambo, the Gallardo, and it was definitely a fun one. But I bought it because I thought there was a particular girl that would like it and be impressed, but it didn't work. Lamborghinis are much better at being able to meet guys than girls, unfortunately.
Okay, so. I understand. This is cool. Okay, let's talk about where is the really safe place if we're talking about cryptocurrencies and fiat money. What do you think? It is better right now to buy more cryptocurrencies and hold them other way, or people need to collect money when they printing like crazy.
Both are pretty risky. Okay. I think both are risky. Governments are printing money like crazy, which makes those monies risky. But as anybody who's been in the crypto space for a while knows, cryptocurrency can be really risky too. The price can go up and down. Exchanges can be hacked. All sorts of crazy things can happen in the world of cryptocurrency. So I think it would be prudent to have a bit of both, right? Have a diverse portfolio, but it would be foolish not to have some cryptocurrency, and especially the ones that provide the users with a good user experience.
What do you think? What is the percentage of portfolio need to be cryptocurrencies in percent? 2, 3,
Yeah,
5, 10?
it depends on what your overall net worth is, right? If you only have $100 to your name, it'd be hard for me to advise you to buy much cryptocurrency at all. But if you have, if a giant net worth, then you absolutely should put a larger percentage of your net worth into crypto, because even if all the crypto goes completely to zero, you still have enough of a nest egg where you're going to be just fine in life. So I think the answer to what percent of your net worth should you put into crypto depends on how much money you actually have.
Okay, thank you very much. And next question about DeFi. DeFi, different platforms, interesting platforms. DeFi projects, such as maybe Compound, Maker. What do you think about Compound and Maker? Will they replace banking or maybe lending in the real ecosystem?
Yeah, it's just getting started and it's still real early, but it clearly seems to be headed that way. I traditionally had these big institutions that would handle all the lending and the credit assessment and the risk and this and that, and they would only deal within one particular geographic jurisdiction. Whereas now, anybody can lend money to anybody else anywhere in the world. Anybody in any country can participate. The accounts can't be frozen. They can't be seized. Like, this is a really, really powerful tool that I think is only going to pick up steam in the future and get more and more adoption and more users around the world, just like cryptocurrencies themselves. And so DeFi is just one part of that, but there's everything, right? Online e-commerce, absolutely everything's going on. So streamers are receiving tips. We're seeing YouTube demonetizing just about every video. Well, what if the content creators can just collect tips directly from their users using cryptocurrency while still using something like a YouTube or a Twitch or something like that? So there's just a million and one different possibilities that people can use. And DeFi is just the latest one that people are paying attention to, which is great, but there's going to be more. I don't forget about all the tokenization stuff that's happening out there as well. There's just a whole new world has been opened up, and it's specifically because the regulators and the governments don't have the ability to shut down these blockchains and stop them. If anybody tried to do this on traditional technology stacks that governments could shut down, they would wind up getting shut down, and they'd say, oh, you can't do in this country and you can't do that. Well, what's making this tidal wave of innovation around the world is the fact that there's these permissionless, censorship resistant platforms that people can build on top of. So the things like the Ethereums and the Bitcoin Cash and all these other things out there, it's just a really, really powerful tool. But if it's important to point out to people, if everybody's forced into using custodial platforms for whatever reason, if the fees are too high on a blockchain or whatever other reason, you lose all these benefits of the decentralization. If everybody's trusting some custodian to hold their money for them, don't think it's going to wind up any different than a bank. I mean, we've seen time and time again around the world. One of the most recent examples that comes to mind was Cyprus. A few years back, the Cyprus government was out of money. So they literally went to everybody's bank account in Cyprus and said, we're going to take, I think it was 30% of everybody's money in their bank accounts. And lots of Russians had their money in Cyprus there as well. So you guys are probably extra aware of this, but don't think that the same thing can't happen to a Coinbase or a Binance or some other centralized exchange. If governments run out of money, they could go to Coinbase and say, hey, give us 30% of every single Bitcoin that you have on deposit there. And if the fees have been too high or people can't afford to use a wallet and transact with it themselves on chain and they have to use a custodian, they're at the mercy of governments to do that. Whereas if you have a chain with fast, cheap, reliable transactions and people can use wallets where they actually hold the private keys themselves, no government in the world can go in and give everybody a 30% haircut like that. So that's what makes me so much more bullish about the cryptocurrencies that actually work as cash, where people can afford to transact on chain with the currencies themselves. So keep an eye on all of this sort of things, but there's not going to be one single winner in the end. It's the whole ecosystem that's blooming.
Okay, and another
one question in this way: what do you think about new different projects and new protocols, such as wrapping protocol, when you can wrap, for example, WBTC and supply this liquidity to Ethereum, to Polkadot chain? Do you think something like that about Bitcoin Cash and supply liquidity from Bitcoin Cash to Polkadot, for example, or Ethereum?
Yeah, ultimately, it's whatever people want to do with their money. And that's the fantastic part about all of this. So a few years ago, everybody on social media was hyping the Lightning Network this and Lightning Network that. Turns out nobody used Lightning Network. There's like 100 or maybe even 1,000 times more Bitcoin wrapped on Ethereum now than there is in the Lightning Network. So the market clearly chose using Ethereum as a scaling solution for Bitcoin than it did over Lightning Network. And at the end of the day, you never know what people are going to use. Another really interesting example of this is one of my favorite websites in all of crypto is a website called purse.io. And when the people behind purse.io first launched it, their idea was that it would give people with a credit card the ability to buy Bitcoin at a premium by buying something from Amazon where somebody wants it from Amazon. And to their absolute amazement and shock, when they launched the website, suddenly, rather than people paying extra to get the Bitcoin, people were paying, people paying with Bitcoin rather than having to pay extra to get the item. They got a big giant discount, and this whole ecosystem developed where people are going and selling their Amazon store credit for cryptocurrencies on Purse.io. And so it wound up being the exact opposite of the capital flow direction that the users of the web or the creators of the website expected it to be. So you kind of never know what's going to happen out there. And who knows what people are going to wind up using, wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum for, or Polkadot, or any of this other stuff. Maybe it'll be something that nobody's even thought of yet today. And just all of a sudden out of the blue, boom, people are just naturally going to start using it for something. And that's the beauty of the free market, is people find a way to achieve their goals with the resources they have at hand.
Okay, and another question. What is the very perspective projects, not maybe projects or technologies in DeFi and crypto ecosystem for you? Maybe top 5. Very interesting for us, because you are involved in crypto very, not such as we try to interested in different projects, but I think that you know much more than we.
Yeah, I think that assumption is probably wrong, to be honest. There's so much happening in the cryptocurrency ecosystem right now that it's more than any one human being could keep up with. So there's a whole bunch of stuff happening on all these different platforms. And I've mainly been focusing my energy and effort on Bitcoin Cash, because as far as I can tell, that's in the pole position to become this permissionless cash for the world. But I know there's, AnyHedge and Sushi Swap and, all these different things out there. And there's more happening than, there's not enough hours in the day to keep up with it all. So maybe you guys know even more about that. Although I am keeping a bit of an eye on the AnyHedge protocol on Bitcoin Cash, which has all this DeFi stuff happening on Bitcoin Cash as well, where you can make stable coins, but the only underlying asset is the Bitcoin Cash itself. And that's called anyhedge.com or .org. You can pull it up there.
Okay, and
one question about Gavin Wood and his vision, and maybe Bitcoin Cash can be a part of Polkadot ecosystem like Parachain. Do you think about this?
Yeah, I think the more things that the things can plug into, the more useful everything becomes. So the more options people have in the world, the better off they are. So I would love to see some sort of collaboration there between Polkadot and Bitcoin Cash, and basically build anything that's useful to people around the world. If it's useful, people are going to use it. So if you can find a use case, go out there and build the tools to allow people to use it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Bitcoin Cash. Some interesting stuff that will be in nearest future. The roadmap. What we are waiting from Bitcoin Cash, what products, and what we will see interesting.
So one of the things that I'm really excited about is a protocol called Cash Fusion on Bitcoin Cash, which basically shuffles up all your Bitcoin Cash with everybody else's, but it uses different values for each, and each player in the shuffling can have multiple inputs and multiple outputs and different numbers of inputs and outputs. And so basically the way it works out is that there's winds up being more potential combinations of shuffling in each round than there are atoms in the entire universe. So that's a really, really, really big number. So basically you combine that with reusable payment codes on Bitcoin Cash, and it makes Bitcoin Cash basically in the same ballpark of private as a Monero. And that's a really, really big deal. And I'm a big Monero fan. I'm not saying anything bad about Monero, but the biggest problem with Monero is that it doesn't have that wide of merchant acceptance, whereas Bitcoin Cash is accepted at more than 100,000 websites around the world, and tens of thousands of physical shops around the world. And we're busy building this Cash Fusion protocol right into the Bitcoin.com wallet with our 10 million plus users of that. It's a really, really big deal. And then a lot of people also don't realize that we have stable coins on Bitcoin Cash already. USDT is on Bitcoin Cash, and you can transact in it for less than a penny per transaction, whereas Ethereum is what, $5 a transaction or so at the moment, sometimes 10. And so Bitcoin Cash tether transactions at less than a penny. I think that's a pretty big deal. And we're going to see more and more people starting to use the stable coins and the token ecosystem on top of Bitcoin Cash. And of course, for Russians in particular, we have local.bitcoin.com, where you can buy and sell Bitcoin Cash in any country with any payment method for any amount with no KYC, because it's a completely non-custodial financial platform. And so Bitcoin.com never touches the Bitcoin Cash. We never touch the fiat. So you can buy and sell with anyone in any country, and Bitcoin.com is never going to ask you for any identifying information. In fact, you have an end-to-end encrypted chat session with the other person on the trade, and even Bitcoin.com can't read that chat session unless you give us permission to read it. So I think that's a really powerful tool that's getting more and more traction around the world. Although China's been the biggest market so far. That's local.bitcoin.com.
Very interesting. And another question about Ethereum. You mentioned about huge commissions for transaction in Ethereum network. What need to do Ethereum, and what do you think about Ethereum 2.0 in the nearest future? Will it somehow help Ethereum to be much more faster and cheaper? We are talking about transactions.
Everybody in life wants things to be faster and cheaper, right? You hope your next laptop will be faster and cheaper. You hope your next cell phone will be faster and cheaper. And you hope your next Ethereum transaction will be faster and cheaper. And so we just saw that the staking amount required to launch the smart contract for Ethereum 2.0 just reached its funding goal. That was what, just maybe 48 hours ago. So it's a really big deal. And of all the different cryptocurrency conferences I've been to in the world, I think the one that had the most developer brain power in attendance at the event was I went to DevCon in Osaka about a year ago, and it was just amazing how much brain power there was of people that were busy building on top of Ethereum and how much stuff was happening there. It was a really, really, I was already, a bullish Ethereum holder before that, but it made me want to own even more Ethereum and became even more bullish on the Ethereum ecosystem because there are a lot of really smart people building on that ecosystem, and lots of them were early Bitcoiners as well, and they saw the writing on the wall and switched over to Ethereum. So
okay, and in the perspective, let's talk about Bitcoin. What do you think? Is it really that can it happen that Bitcoin will reach all-time high and go higher in the maybe 2-5 years? What do you think will be the price of Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash?
Yeah, I'm not that bullish on Bitcoin anymore. I think it's just a bunch of people buying it because they see other people buying it. And recently it got up to a pretty darn high price again. And lots of people were emailing and posting online about how, oh, now I better buy it. But a smart investor invests before everybody else invests. And if you look objectively at both Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Cash is accepted at just as many, if not more, locations around the world than Bitcoin is. But it gives you faster, cheaper, more reliable transactions than Bitcoin does. The thing that Bitcoin has going for it, though, is it has this name recognition around the world and bigger market cap. So people, I think mistakenly, think that that's the safer bet, but I don't think it is at all. And so Bitcoin on the spot exchanges is trading for what, about 60, 70 times more than a Bitcoin Cash is. But if you look at the Grayscale product, which is traded on the US stock market, which gives traditional funds the ability to have exposure to Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash is trading at only about a fifth the price of a Bitcoin. And so that shows that people with the institutional money are much, much, much more bullish on Bitcoin Cash than the spot price is at the moment, which I think is a bullish sign for Bitcoin Cash long term. And it's so clear, anybody that's looking to build on either of these two platforms, from here on out, the choice is clear. It has to be Bitcoin Cash because the transactions are too expensive, too slow, and too unreliable on top of Bitcoin. And so that's why I've been sprinkling seed investments in all sorts of businesses that are building on top of Bitcoin Cash and using tokens and doing all sorts of great things out there. And so I think from a long term, it's much, much more prudent to be bullish on Bitcoin Cash than Bitcoin. But have a diverse portfolio. I still own some Bitcoin. I own plenty of Bitcoin Cash. I own plenty of Ethereum and Dash and Monero and all sorts of other things, and Ripple, of course. People love to hate on Ripple on the internet, but the fact of the matter is those Ripple transactions are really fast and really cheap, and so far have been really reliable as well. And that's what people want. It just doesn't have as big of a network effect as something like Bitcoin Cash does yet.
I want to ask about Ripple. It was my next question. Today in the morning we was live streaming in Russian to our audience, and we was discussing the Ripple because it start bull running, and but there's a lot of information in the internet that Ripple is centralized, that almost half of emission have the team or somebody from Ripple. What do you think about it? Is it good? Is that centralization good, or it is bad for cryptocurrencies, something like that?
Yeah, we don't necessarily know yet because the game is still being played. So something like Bitcoin at the moment is in first place there, and it had this, I guess you could call it a fair coin distribution where nobody started out with more coins than anybody else, and you had to put in your proof of work effort to get the coins. And it was just a bunch of grassroots people like myself and others that spread this to the world. Whereas Ripple absolutely had a whole lot more centralization in terms of the coin ownership there. But the upside of that is now they have this war chest of, I don't know, billions and billions of dollars worth of Ripple that they can use to fund all sorts of things to build out the ecosystem. And they have their partners with Western Union and other businesses out there. But which one of those are going to play out to the benefit of the currency more in the long run? We don't know, but I don't think that you should discount either one. I think both have a place, and both are having a place. And there's certainly a lot of people out there that are big fans of Ripple. It's interesting. The currencies I have people ask me about the most, Ripple is definitely one of the top 3 or 4 there. Even if I don't mention to people, people say, in fact, one of the guys here that's using Bitcoin Cash extensively in Antigua, he asked me, what do you think about Ripple? And I was asking if we were going to add that to the Bitcoin.com wallet as well. So it's really interesting to see the amount of attention that Ripple has out there.
Okay.
I have a question from our subscribers. Which hardware wallet the best for you?
I like my iPhone because I use cryptocurrencies as currencies to send and receive payments and buy and sell things. And I use my iPhone more than anything else. I have some cryptocurrency hardware wallets, but I rarely use them. And I've never, ever, and we can Google this, but I've never heard of anybody ever having had their iPhone or their Android device that wasn't rooted or jailbroken. I've never heard of anybody having their cryptocurrency stolen via hacking from their iPhone, their wallet. So has that happened to you?
This is from me, but I am the crazy guy, and I wrote my seed into notice, and hackers some were stolen my password from iCloud, and hack my iCloud, find my notes, and here we are, seed and other good phrases for hackers. But this is my bad.
Yeah, and
they don't.
To be fair, the exact same thing would have happened if you had recorded your seed from your hardware wallet there as well. So that could have happened as well.
This is seed from my hardware wallet too, from Ledger.
So they did have your hardware wallet.
All
so.
blockchain info, Binance, Ledger, all what I have, I put here, but XRP not in that way, and Ethereum Classic, they not took it.
They don't took Ethereum Classic.
So let this be a lesson to everybody. Do not record
bro.
your seeds in iCloud. So.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. No, do not record. Just paper, guys. Just paper.
And
eat it.
It will be one of the final questions. Give us some interesting information about what books.
Inside.
What books do you read? What is your favorite books about maybe crypto or finance? Top 3 or 5.
Yeah, so maybe I'll talk a little bit about what I have going on in the island nation of Antigua here. It's definitely one of the hotbeds of cryptocurrency adoption in the world at this point. It's a country of around 90,000 people. We have about 50 businesses accepting Bitcoin Cash here, and that's a lot for a country this small. One gas station in the country is now accepting Bitcoin Cash, which doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that there's probably only about 10 gas stations in the entire country. So that means 10% of all gas stations here are now accepting Bitcoin Cash. But what I've also done is I'm ordering copies for every single high school student here of a book called Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt, which is a fantastic book. I already delivered the first 100 copies to one of the high schools here. And we're going to give every single high school student in the country a copy of Economics in One Lesson and some Bitcoin Cash as well. And if you read this book, you'll be able to understand the world much more clearly. You'll understand how money works. You'll understand why government's intervening in the economy makes everybody poor off. You'll understand why government printing money makes everybody poor off. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful book that's been around for a while, and I read as a young man, and it had a huge impact on myself and my own view of the world. It's available for free online from the Foundation for Economic Education or the Mises Institute, I believe, both. Or you can buy a Kindle copy for a couple of bucks as well. Again, it's the Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. It's a wonderful, wonderful book that I like so much that I'm giving it to, like I said, every single high school student in the country. And I think that's going to really have a big impact on this country here in a couple of years once we have all these people that have read these things. And if I can tell another quick story related to that, I recommended this book to a friend in Tokyo who had previously been kind of a leftist liberal in favor of government intervening in the economy and all sorts of things. And he read this book and he said, oh my God, I still have the same goals of wanting to help people, but you don't help them through government intervention in the economy. You help them by getting the government out of the economy and allowing people to interact with each other voluntarily in the free market. So it changed his strategy, not his end goals. But he had a real epiphany there and basically went from being a leftist to now being more of a libertarian, hands-off advocate in terms of government intervention in the economy. So it's a really, really impactful book. I recommend anybody out there to go and pick it up. I'm sure it's been translated into Russian already as well for anybody that wants to read it in a language other than English. It's probably been translated into just about every language. Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. I can't recommend it strongly enough.
Great.
Our subscribers have another question, one more about in what way your company hiring new staff. Can they work on your company?
Yeah, if you head on over to jobs.bitcoin.com, you can see a list of the positions that we're hiring for. Most of them are based in Tokyo, but you can go over there at jobs.bitcoin.com.
Maybe some like evangelist and maybe staff in Russia, staff in Ukraine, Belarus, and other country. They can put knowledge to different people who don't know anything about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, we'd love help because this is a grassroots effort from around the world, and we're a company, but it takes everybody to get on board to help bring these benefits to the world of people being able to use cryptocurrencies rather than government issued currencies.
Great. Thank you very much. It was really interesting, dynamic, and cool interview. Thank you, Roger. As always, we like what you're doing. We like you. Thank you for your time, and I hope that we will see you soon. Maybe
lockdown is end and we can go to you in Japan, maybe in other place, or maybe we can meet in Moscow on different cryptocurrency meetups.
And I've been to Moscow before. I absolutely loved it. I was really impressed with what a wonderful city Moscow is. So for people that haven't visited, I highly recommend it.
Thank you very much, Roger. Thank you guys for watching this video. You need to push likes. We will translate it into Russian and publish it.
Do you know Satoshi Nakamoto? The last question from our subscribers. Where is he?
Who is Satoshi?
If I know him, he's keeping it secret from me. So,
at the start of our streaming, not for the record, we see in your door, some open your door, and maybe Satoshi.
That could have been Satoshi. So, thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for your time.
Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye bye to everybody.
You guys too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.